What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today it's time to look back at the absolute best and utterly worst games of 2024. This year was one for the record books. For certain records nobody wants to break. We saw the enormous rise and tragic fall of brave Concord.
Farewell, sweet Concord!
A game which will live in our hearts and in infamy. 2024 was a huge year for out-of-touch CEOs and...
Okay!
Maybe I should walk that joke back. I was trying to point out that we reached new heights in the number of layoffs across the video game industry. Don't take this the wrong way, okay? As we go month by month through 2024, I'll put up a casualty number. Sorry, I mean a regrettable but necessary loss number. Also, the nerve of that Jeff Keighley guy, right? How dare he use his platform at the Game Awards to raise awareness about this issue in the industry. Personally, I'm actually a huge fan of unemployment and outsourcing jobs to AI pig slop. Please, more AI slop. Let me keep consuming. But with that being said, let's dive into the most memorable moments, games, and releases this year. And stay tuned to the end because I'll be giving you my pick for best game of the year and worst. Okay, let's be real. You already know what they are. It's Helldivers 2 and Dragon Age the Veilguard. But also make sure you leave a comment below and let me know your picks for best and worst game of the year. Let's have our own little Act Awards in the comment section. I'm curious to see what you guys think. January was a huge month for layoff fans. Riot Games had about 530 layoffs, but Microsoft was also putting up some insane numbers, totaling over 2,000 layoffs in just 1 month. Saquon Barkley doesn't even have 2,000 yards this season. He's totally washed up. Look at the numbers Microsoft is putting up. 2,000 layoffs in 1 month. Is the joke getting old yet? The video game industry is in dire straits, people. These layoffs were broad. They hit 343 Industries, now Halo Studios. They hit Bethesda, Blizzard, and Activision. And 2 of the founders left Blizzard in 2024. Mike Ybarra and co-founder Alan Adham. Adam? Fuck, I don't know what his last name is. Whatever. The first major release of 2024 was a big one. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Thank goodness. Were you guys as excited for this remaster as I was? Because I wasn't excited at all. I've never played Last of Us 2. You see, I've been waiting for The Last of Us 2 Remastered to get a remake. Hopefully in 2 more years. And I can sit down and finally see what this game was all about. But 2024 actually started off with a boom. Something nobody expected. Palworld came out the same day, January 19th. What a game to start the year. A Pokemon-inspired survival monster-catching game featuring all the animal slavery you could possibly imagine. Palworld quickly became one of the best-selling PC games of all time, and it cracked the top 2 of highest concurrent player count on Steam. In January, Palworld was averaging 1 million concurrent players, on average. But just 2 months later, that number sank all the way down to 83,000. Though its flame burned bright, Palworld went out with a bit of a whimper. Once players had done everything the game had to offer, there was little reason to engage with the survival mechanics and keep building your town. It was a ton of fun figuring out how to optimize your workforce to get the most resources and build the most expansive base. I think coming out in early access really hurt this game in the long term. Had it been on par with the quality of something like Helldivers 2, I think this game would be soaring right now. Still, the most recent update that came after the Game Awards has somewhat revitalized the player base, and I'm still surprised it wasn't nominated at the Game Awards. Ace Attorney fans rejoice because the Apollo Justice Trilogy and Ace Attorney Investigations have finally been remastered and ported to modern consoles. This series is honestly incredible. It has some of the best writing and storytelling you will ever find in any video game series. Highly recommend. And it's a big deal because the second Miles Edgeworth game had never been translated to English until just recently, and it had been out for like 12 years. So now we can finally play the game and understand what they're saying. After a 9-year hiatus, Tekken came screeching back into the spotlight with 8, earning critical acclaim from fans and critics alike. It even won Best Fighting Game at the Game Awards, beating out my beloved Sparking Zero. Guess I'll have to try it out. But the first major failure of the year came in early February with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
So that's it? What, we some kind of
live service flop? Kill the Justice League's biggest problem was that it was a live service for no reason, really. Well, the reason was money. Want money now. Live service make money. Except, ooh, it looks like you lost a lot of money on this one, because the developers are already winding down development as the 4th season will be the last. The game saw a very slight boost in player numbers in December, but not enough to make a sizable difference. Kill the Justice League has done little but burn money for Warner Brothers. As they've revealed, they've taken a financial hit of 200 million smackaroos. 200 million. We're wasting money on fucking live service games that nobody cares about while also axing staff. Make better games. Have better ideas. Naturally, this major flop served as a pretty big warning sign, a red flag to other studios looking to overinvest in shoddy live service games, and thankfully no other major flops released in 2024. Just 6 days later, a little team called Arrowhead Studios would come along and say, "Poof, poof, you wanna see how a live service is done, little bitch boy?" And they came out with Helldivers 2, my boy, my goat, my game of the year. God bless Super Earth. Salute in chat right now. Sorry, wrong salute. We sacrifice for paradise. Anything less will not suffice. Helldivers 2 took over the gaming zeitgeist for months. It was all anybody was talking about. Memes were running rampant, and Helldivers 2 sparked renewed interest in the Starship Trooper series, which is still one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. The live service has been incredible and consistent, with tons of new weapons and enemy types, planets, major orders. I called this game a masterpiece, and I stand by that. This game has set a new standard for what I expect from a live service business model, or what is the best case scenario. However, there were some major problems. We can't always win, right? Despite some major balancing issues and nerfs that affected the game and the player base in the sandbox within a few months after launch, they've mostly rolled back a lot of those changes. And Sony delisting the game from like 177 countries, what a brilliant idea that was. Let's kill the momentum of our fastest selling game of all time. I'm a PlayStation executive. Hey Sony, our game is doing really, really well. Can we roll back that idea that all players will have to make a PSN account? I'm a PlayStation executive, no? Delisted. I like losing money. Regardless, Helldivers 2 is one of those staple games now part of my catalog where I could hit up my boys at any time and be like, wanna play Helldivers 2? And we'll get a squad anytime. I love it. Can't wait to see how the game evolves into 2025. Question. What the fuck was wrong with Ubisoft this year? It was not a good time for Ubisoft. What is Skull and Bones? Why is this random pirate game getting a $200 million budget and being developed over like 10 years? Why did Ubisoft CEO call it a quadruple A game? Where did this even come from? I feel like I never heard about this until after it came out and I heard the term quadruple A game, $200 million budget, and then saw like peak Steam player count like 2,000. Ubisoft even wanted to make a TV series out of this game. What is with these studios and wanting to like make a multimedia franchise out of something you haven't even proved can succeed as a video game? Concord? It perplexes me to no end why publishers risk so much over investing in these projects that they don't even expect to break even on. Skull and Bones marked a new milestone, the first quadruple A gaming failure. It was plagued in development hell, and I guess Ubisoft just kept throwing money at it. You can't fix all your problems by throwing money at them. Without a cohesive vision, the game failed to impress, and the quadruple A tag has made it the subject of mockery by gamers. Apparently it was supposed to be an expansion to Black Flag, which I loved. That's like my favorite Assassin's Creed. I don't know how you fucked that up. How lucky are we, man? 2024, we finally got a long-awaited sequel. Poker 2. Now, if only they could make chess too. AKA Balatro. Made by one dude, this indie roguelike made it all the way to a nomination for Game of the Year. Memes did not become dreams, however, and Balatro lost to Astro Bot. Still, it sold over 3.5 million copies, and Balatro has given a unique spin on the deck-building game genre. Unfortunately, 2024 was not a good year for Star Wars fans. Arguably one of the worst, as Respawn, the developers of Titanfall 1 and 2, we're working on a new Star Wars FPS single player, the likes of which we haven't seen since Jedi Academy. God damn. How's progress on that coming along? Of course it's canceled. Of course. Yes, let's cancel Respawn's FPS game, but let's keep throwing money at this fucking dumpster fire pirate game. I still haven't forgotten how incredible Titanfall 2's campaign was, but it seems somebody at EA forgot. Somebody really important. I sure do love layoffs. I love unemployment. I love how it stifles and destroys creativity in the industry. As the old saying goes, can't have shit in Mos Eisley.
It's a fucking shithole.
I have no doubt the Star Wars game would have been incredible, but now, we'll never know. The Final Fantasy VII Remake got its second entry with Rebirth. Someday I'll get around to playing these games, but the idea to split a remake into multiple parts was a bold strategy, but it sure has paid off, Cotton, as Rebirth has gotten even better review scores than its predecessor. It's nice to see a modern retelling of a classic game succeed to such a high degree. It goes to show that there is magic in the writing. Some stories are timeless and they're so good they deserve to be remade and retold. Sadly, on March 1st this year, we lost an absolute legend, Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball. His work and impact on this world will last the rest of our lives and beyond. There have been so many kick-ass Dragon Ball video games. I love the series and just wanted to give him a little love. But the suffering for Star Wars fans was not over, as we were sucker punched with the Battlefront collection. Dear God. I was hoping to forget this existed too, but sadly here we are. Yet another in a long list of disingenuous dogshit remasters that solely exist to squeege our collective nostalgia for any pennies it might be worth. I mean, this was on par with Warcraft 3 Reforged. It's just an objective downgrade, barely functional, no new innovations or content to speak of, a complete insult to fans. There was no reason for this to be made or released in the state that it was, and it makes you wonder why they would rush out such an awful remaster instead of, I don't know, doing something with those nearly complete builds of Battlefront 3? Just like, what are we doing out here? What are we doing? The devs behind the Battlefront collection, Aspire, had a chance to somewhat revive an aging community and reinvigorate this game with some new life, but the flames were immediately extinguished just as fast as the beacons were lit. It's been 7 years since a real Star Wars Battlefront game. It's a series that is supposed to print money. It shouldn't be this hard to figure out, but for some reason it is. Give Battlefront to Respawn, how about that? There's an idea. Dragon's Dogma 2 is one of those RPGs I look at and say, wow, I can't wait to play this. And then my brain says, hey, you haven't replayed Oblivion in 3 years. And I go, ah, shit, you're right. I missed out on Dragon's Dogma 2. My only hope is that it was as dogmatic as the first one, which came out in 2012. This year was stacked with long-awaited sequel after long-awaited sequel. It was nominated for Best RPG at the Game Awards, but it sadly didn't win. Been spending most our lives living in the Gooner's paradise. I beat my meat once, twice, or thrice, living in the Gooner's paradise. Stellar Blade released on April 26th, and though its gameplay was solid, the boss design incredible, that's not what most people were talking about online. Discourse kind of devolved into boobies and outfits, which is fine, I guess. It just kind of makes you wish this discussion occurred around, you know, like a Dead or Alive beach volleyball game. Stellar Blade's main character, Eve, sparked a really big discussion around sex appeal in gaming. How necessary is it? How far can you push it? I covered that in a previous video, but that aspect really seemed to overshadow any discussions around the game's story, its combat, and its gameplay, which I felt were pretty solid. A worthy entry in the Souls-like genre. Back on May 7th, Microsoft announced they weren't done for the season, man. 2,000 layoffs, rookie numbers. They put up an extra 705 on one day by shutting down Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, and Alpha Dog Games. This caused a huge controversy, which I also covered, because Xbox severely lacks major first-party titles. They have for a long time. So getting rid of Tango, the developers of Hi-Fi Rush, was seen as a sign that they don't give a shit how good of a game you make. Gotta drive Game Pass subscriptions, that's the only thing that matters. Hi-Fi Rush was beloved by pretty much everybody who played it, so it continued this trend of Microsoft cutting costs and getting rid of workers in ways that don't seem to result in us getting better games. A truly indefensible decision. Microsoft is sitting on so much intellectual property right now and they're doing fuck all with it. So this was kind of a boiling point for me and a lot of other Xbox and gaming fans who just want to see Phil Spencer do better. Now that it looks like Microsoft and Xbox might even be abandoning the console market, it really doesn't show a lot of faith in the brand or its potential to produce amazing exclusives. Thankfully, back in August, Tango was acquired by Krafton, which saved the studio half of its employees in the Hi-Fi Rush IP. Thanks, Microsoft! Animal Well made its way to the Game Awards as well, yet another indie title created by just one guy, as part of Video Game Donkey's Big Mode Games studio, or publisher. Whatever it is, I think it's a great sign that two indie games made it all the way to nominations at the Game Awards. I love Video Game Donkey, and I'll always root for him and, by extension, the games he helps. And I think it's great to see content creators help indie developers make their dreams become true. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is a game I'm not really interested in, but as a tech or graphical showcase, it's pretty incredible to watch. Doesn't look like it's much fun to play, but the actress Melina Juergens won an award for Best Performance. So you'll have to tell me in the comments below if Hellblade 2 is worth playing for the story, because I'm a little curious. Ladies and gentlemen, it turns out XDefiant could not compete with Call of Duty. While it was fun for a few days and I enjoyed my time playing it, the COD clone did little to stand out, and they could never beat the allegations of being the game you'll play until Black Ops 6 comes out. Born from former Infinity Ward leaders like Mark Rubin, XDefiant looked like it could be a legitimate contender, and it may have been decent, but it was also generic. Even now I'm having trouble finding words to describe the game. I think most people who tried it out thought, yeah, this is alright, and then quickly stopped playing because, it's alright is not going to keep people's attention for long. And on December 3rd, they announced that they'd be shutting down the servers on June 5th, 2025. So obviously Ubisoft is not holding out hope that this live service FPS is going to go anywhere. Just a terrible year for Ubisoft. But a wonderful year for Paper Mario fans because finally they released something I care about. The Thousand Year Door Remaster. This is hands down the best Mario game in terms of storytelling. It is truly one of the greatest RPGs ever made, in my humble opinion, and I was so excited to see it getting some love. Don't sleep on the Thousand Year Door, man. In the third chapter, Mario becomes a WWE fighter who fights a giant chicken in a city flying above the clouds, okay? It's awesome. The release of Destiny 2's The Final Shape in June resulted in even more layoffs at Bungie. You're finished with your work? See ya!
How about goodbye?
220 employees were axed, which accounted for about 17% of Bungie's workforce. That's pretty crazy. I don't care about Destiny. I feel very disillusioned from modern Bungie and don't really care about what they're working on, to be honest. And then we got a DLC so big, some considered it to be its own full game. Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree. I'll get my review out someday, okay? I got a plan.
You always got a plan.
January. Shadow of the Erdtree got mostly positive reception, though I found myself to be one of the few people who thinks it's worse than the base game. At least it's open world. There was so much wasted space and wide open landscapes with very little of interest to find. It marked the first time I ever got bored in a FromSoft Souls game. Every area was gorgeous and stunning with its art direction, but painfully simplistic and dull to play through. The big highlight, of course, were the bosses and the new weapons and movesets, which FromSoft knows what they're doing there. Still, it feels like FromSoft finally hit the ceiling of what they can get away with Dark Souls boss design. And it seems like we're gonna need another lateral move like Bloodborne and Sekiro. That's what Night Rain kind of looks like, so I'm excited for that.
There's nothing.
Thank you, son.
After Palworld hit its record-breaking Steam concurrent player count, I didn't expect anything else this year to top it. And then Black Myth Wukong came out. Monkey the video game had the right combination of incredible visuals and an iconic setting. Leaning heavily into Chinese folklore, this game exploded in their native country. It showed a side of Chinese culture that resonated deeply with their people. And because of its massive popularity in China, Western audiences turned their heads and said, "What's that? Monkey game? 2 million concurrent players? I'll check it out." While at times the game really does feel like a on-rails boss gauntlet littered with invisible walls, that's honestly kind of fine. If the combat is solid and the bosses are fun, then yeah, you know, keep it simple. Not every game needs to be like open world. Like Sekiro, the combat focused around one weapon type, the staff, but they really fleshed out the type of attacks and special moves you can use. Wukong won the Player's Voice Award for Game of the Year at the Game Awards, cementing its status as a fan favorite of 2024. So let me get this straight. You're saying Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, lost $200 million? Pfft, that's nothing. Hold my beer, said Firewalk Studios. Boom! You think you can waste money? 200 million? Pump up those numbers, kid. Concord doubled that, wasting $400 million on a live service hero shooter, not part of an established IP, with ugly characters that cost $40. All for a game that was playable for just 2 weeks. At that point, just burn your money, man. Like, why even donate to charity? Just burn your money.
It's not about money. It's about
sending a message. What was the message? I mean, honestly, what were they thinking? These are some of the worst character designs I've ever seen. It goes to show that graphics ain't everything. You can have the most highly detailed visuals that money can buy, but if you don't have a good art style, you know, people don't like looking at things that are ugly. Apparently, Concord's development was plagued with toxic positivity, as leadership was unwilling to hear criticism or act on constructive feedback. It was a sort of, hey Captain, we should sail around that iceberg. Nah, we're good. Uh-oh. I have no idea why Sony thought to give this brand new studio developing their first game a $400 million budget for a brand new IP and to charge $40 for a hero shooter in a market that's saturated with free-to-play hero shooters. All copies ended up being refunded, meaning there was no money made on anything. Quite possibly the biggest L for gaming since E.T. the Extraterrestrial for Atari 2600. And Concord will remain a punching bag for years to come. Star Wars Outlaws, another Ubisoft game that really didn't pique my interest because at this point I and many other gamers were just kind of tired of Ubisoft's shenanigans. The weird pricing models, how they advertise and sell their games, all these different editions. Pre-order! Have you fucking pre-ordered yet? The gameplay looked decent, but I don't know. Third-person Star Wars shooter? Give me Republic Commando 2. On September 6th, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Game of the Year came out, Astro Bot. Honestly, I did not expect Astro Bot to win because I haven't played it, and I think it's one of those games that if you have played it, you know why it won, and if you haven't, then you're sitting there confused as hell as to why it did. I love that the devs tried to shout out Nintendo, you know, in saying that, hey, there's a company that's kept 3D platformers alive. You know who it is, right? But they couldn't mention them by name. I don't think Sony would have liked that. I played Astro's Playroom, which came with the PS5, and I thought it was pretty dang good. Even if it was more of a tech showcase kind of game. You know what? So is Wii Sports. Astro Bot proves there is still a demand and a market for 3D platformers, a genre which outside of Nintendo has really not seen much love over the years. Except maybe Ratchet and Clank. But I know a certain Baron Bird who would be happy to hear this news if they weren't dead. 2024 was a fantastic year for Warhammer 40k fans as we finally got Space Marine 2. And what a major standout it was. A fun arcadey third-person shooter that you can play with up to 2 buddies. It felt like a throwback to Gears of War co-op. I had a blast with a campaign playing it with my buddies, and though I didn't spend too much time with multiplayer, sometimes it's nice to just play a game for 10 to 15 hours and then say, you know what? That was great, I had my fun, I'm moving on. But what I'm not gonna play is Starfield Shattered Space, the first expansion. Remember Starfield? So Bethesda released the first, possibly only DLC for Starfield, and nobody really talked about it or played it. I think Starfield was a game that at first everyone was super excited to play, but the longer everybody played it, the more we all realized how shallow the pool was, how vapid the game got over time. I doubt Starfield is going to have any sort of like No Man's Sky type of resurgence. I think people are just over it, to be honest. The horror genre has seen a resurgence almost entirely through remakes, and while it is kind of disappointing that we're not seeing a ton of new original ideas, shit, it seems to be working with Dead Space, Resident Evil, now Silent Hill 2, so I guess keep it up? I've never played the Silent Hill series, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was one of my favorite games this year, a true successor to Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Although it's not a game that's really been balanced for competitive play, neither is Mario Party. Both of these titles I find are at their best when you're playing with your buddies in a relaxed, casual environment. I'm still pretty mixed on Black Ops 6. My attitude towards the game has gotten significantly more negative after they started selling AI-generated cosmetics and pig slop. Like, something about that art, man, is just so disgusting and off-putting. It's killed a lot of my interest in Black Ops 6. And its incredible zombies mode, yeah, let's replace the actors, man, fuck you. I might be done with it, though I do enjoy playing the new zombies maps with Mr. Raffle Waffles and Hidden Xperia. That's fun, so I might keep doing that. Oh, and then the worst game of the year, in my opinion, or at least my most disliked, was Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's a totally biased opinion, but I replayed Origins for the first time in years, and you can barely tell these two games are from the same series. The Dragon Age identity started off so strong and confident in 2009, but over each entry, more and more of what I loved about the first game has been lost. I could not stand playing this game, don't like the combat, I hate the dumbed down RPG mechanics, the stupid dialogue wheel, the talking protagonist, and it's wild that Baldur's Gate 3 is doing what Dragon Age Origins used to do, and succeeding to such a great degree. Veilguard to me was just like the final nail in the coffin that BioWare is truly cooked. After Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, now Veilguard, they have needed a W for a long time. And they just keep on taking fat L after fat L. One thing you gotta give S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 credit for is being developed during a war. Talk about dedication. Some of the Ukrainian developers for S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 had to flee their homes, and others ended up joining the Ukrainian armed forces while they're at war with Russia. The devs GSC were also subjugated to constant cyber attacks. That's just insane to think about. Do you think Sun Tzu ever considered how interfering with foreign game development might help you on the war front? This was the first new S.T.A.L.K.E.R game in 15 years, and though it's currently sitting at mixed reception, I think given its very unique and troubled development cycle, I wonder if S.T.A.L.K.E.R fans are somewhat forgiving about the state of the game. So let's hope they can keep some positive momentum going. December was utterly stacked with new releases. Marvel Rivals is incredible. It is everything great about hero shooters and is allowing us all to relive that sort of discovery of Overwatch. It also proves that hero shooters can still work, brand new ones. All you need is this little known IP called Marvel, make the game free, and don't lock any of the heroes behind a paywall. It's really simple, but extremely effective. I played the closed beta a few months ago, and one of my points of advice was, hey guys, make the heroes free and just charge for skins. It looks like they're doing that, and I got no problems with Marvel Rivals. At least not major ones, but stay tuned for a future review. While I'm still washing the awful taste of Diablo 4 out of my mouth, Path of Exile 2 came out. I believe in early access, but after I reviewed Diablo 4, I was told, gotta check out Path of Exile, gotta do it. And I just might be doing that soon enough. It's crazy to me that there hasn't been a big budget Indiana Jones game in forever. But choo-choo, motherfucker, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle came out, and this game looks incredible. I haven't had time to try it out yet, but I'm also a bit surprised more people aren't talking about it. And finally, we had the Game Awards, which I felt rounded out the year very nicely. Would you believe there was 154 million viewers across these live streams? That's insane to think about. And if that metric is anything to go by, then interest in video games is at an all-time high. I think it was a fantastic celebration of the best parts of the industry, and like I said, Jeff Keighley did the right thing calling out industry layoffs, as 2024 was the biggest we've seen. There was a ton of discussion around the Game Award nominations, and though it was controversial, I don't think people got too heated over it. It was a fun event, a lot of cool reveals, a lot of games and people getting recognized, and some awesome trailers to see. As I've been saying all year, 2024 has been a year of extreme highs and the lowest lows. We've seen incredible releases like Marvel Rivals, Helldivers 2, Black Myth Wukong, and Astro Bot, some major indie successes, but also we've seen record-breaking failures with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Brave Concord, which does leave serious doubts about the future of AAA gaming, and how mega flops like these could lead to further instability and layoffs in the future. But those were the best and worst games of 2024, brought to you by the Act Man. So So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Don't forget to post a comment telling me your best and worst games of 2024. I'm curious to see what you think. And subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is The Act Man signing out. Peace!